This is how to buy an acoustic set and turn it into electronic, all for under $1,000. Hey, what's up? Justin here, welcome to 65 Drums. Now in the past I've made more videos focusing on how to convert acoustic to electronic sets in more of the high-end category. So if you have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, even like $8,000, there's plenty of ways to spend as much money as you want to spend when converting an acoustic set into electronic. But today I wanted to focus more on the budget side of things. Some people want the larger form factor of a conversion drum set, but they don't have that much money. They want to spend maybe $1,500, maybe even $1,000. That's the target audience for this video. And for the other people that buy electronic drums specifically because they want something that's portable, a smaller form factor, yeah, go buy a TD-17 or something, that's completely fine. Just, I prefer the larger form factor. That's why some of my videos seem to tend to be a little more heavily weighted towards this side of electronic drums. Okay, so all that's out of the way, let's move ahead to step one. You gotta buy this acoustic drum set. Where should you buy one? In my opinion, you should buy something from Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace has become my favorite place to buy used gear. That's actually where I bought the camera that you're watching me from right now. You know, you could buy from eBay, you could buy from reverb.com, but the problem is acoustic drums are very large and they're very expensive to ship. I know this myself from personal experience. So even if you find a really good deal somewhere, and by the time you pay for shipping, it's just not worth it if you're going for cheaper end, lower end stuff, including really heavy hardware. I would go to Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. Those are the two places. Maybe even an app such as Letgo could be a great option as well. I've got some example photos that I'll show you on the screen right here. So right here, this is a good example. I can see that it's got a nice set of shells. They're not completely beat up. The drum heads are in pretty bad shape, but that's not a big deal because they're going to be replaced with mesh heads. You've got the hardware, you got the kick pedal, you got the throne, and we have everything we need here. It's only $200. There are other options too, like this is a nicer looking shell pack. I don't believe it comes with any hardware though, but if you want to spend more to get something that looks a little bit nicer, that's completely fine. And if you want to see a third example, here's a complete drum set for $150. In the description, they say that they don't really know much about drums. Here's a photo, decide whether or not you want the set. And it even comes with the cymbals, it comes with all the hardware we need. So $150, $200, that's in my market. Maybe in California, maybe the prices of drums are more expensive. I don't know where you are living, but you can buy a very cheap full set of acoustic shells and hardware. Remember, you want something that looks decent, you don't care about the sound at all, and you can even replace the front kick drum head if you want so that the brand isn't whatever terrible brand that you're buying from. Make sure it comes with the hardware, because if you're not careful, you might accidentally buy a really cheap acoustic set of shells. So maybe it's, I don't know, 150 bucks, and you think you're set and you'll just buy the hardware later. By the time you buy a nice drum throne, a kick drum pedal, a hi-hat stand, 2 crash cymbal stands, all that can add up to like $500 or more. So instead of spending $1,000, you've accidentally spent, 50% more. So keep that in mind. Buy used and also buy a shell pack that comes with hardware. Okay, so step 2 is buying a pack of mesh heads. I recommend buying a package of mesh heads because buying them individually will always cost more money. The two options that I've found for under $100 here is the Remo Silent Strokes for $80. That's a standby. So many drummers have tried these. They're tried and true. They're built really well. But the downside is that it's one ply, meaning it's going to be a little bit more bouncy, and also you're going to have to do some different setting adjustments inside of the module to make sure there's no false triggering. But it is doable. The other option that I found is an unknown brand. I've never heard of UKS Audio, but they're 2-ply mesh heads off of eBay, a full set for $90. So those are two options under $100. I would risk it and go with an unknown brand that gives you 2-ply mesh heads because I really am not a big fan of 1-ply mesh heads. That's just me personally. You decide what you want to do. Okay, so moving ahead to step 3, you got to buy a full set of drum triggers. And again, I do recommend buying in a set because you generally save money versus buying individual ones. Okay, so ones that I will look at in like the budget category are UFO drums, Jobeky, and D-drum Redshot triggers. So the first one, D-drum Redshot triggers, you can buy a full package of these for $100. Now the downside here is that I believe the snare trigger is only one zone. So you're not gonna get rim shot, you're just gonna get one zone, the drum head sound or the rim shot sound, whatever it is you assign to that trigger. You can just buy this package and then additionally buy a 2-zone trigger, but for $100, you can't buy better triggers for that exact price range. Now moving up in the world, you have the UFO drum triggers. You can buy a full set of those for like $300. It's a way big, price jump because the quality of the triggers is much better and they go inside of your drums instead of on top of your drums. If you want to spend more money and get something that's better, UFO drum triggers is good. The downside here is that UFO drums is very much a do-it-yourself brand. You actually have to wire the triggers to the output jack yourself. It is a little bit frustrating, but they are high quality. Moving ahead to the third option, we have Jobeky. I do prefer this out of the three just because you don't have to do any of the wiring yourself. They just come in the box, you slide them into your drum shells, and you're good to go. Not saying that UFO drums triggers are a bad option. They're more customizable. You get to customize everything there is about them. You decide what size of a piezo you want. You get to decide what kind of trigger cone you want on it. UFO drums is way more customizable. It's more for the DIY guys. Jobeky is just very, very easy, but you have to pay for overseas shipping. And then meanwhile, Dedrum Redshot is the one we're gonna go with on the actual pricing of this video because it's the cheaper option that will get us below that $1,000 price range. Okay, so let's move ahead to the next step. You need to buy a full set of cymbals for this drum set. Now here's the problem. Brand new cymbals are very, very expensive, at least the ones that will last for a long time. A really nice cymbal can be like $200, $300, $500 if you go buy the really, really high-end ones. So I recommend buying used cymbals. Just like the used drums, this will help you get this whole setup to under $1,000. So on the very, very low end, I would buy like 3 Roland CY8s if you want to keep this under $1,000. You can buy those and actually buy a GoEdrum controller. So now one of those CY8 cymbals is your hi-hats on an acoustic hi-hat stand. So it's like a $100 version of a VH11 or VH10 cymbal that you'll find on the TD17 line. Now, of course, I had to select those cymbals just to keep this whole thing under $1,000. If you wanted to go a little bit more high-end, which is what I would do, I would buy a set of CY12C cymbals. I found a full set for $400. One is your ride cymbal, one is your crash cymbal, and one that you can turn into a hi-hat with that GoEdrum controller, which is about $50 standalone. So yeah, you have a full set of cymbals either for $230 or $450. You just decide what you want to do. Again, this is all just starting points just to help you if you want to go down this route. Okay, so moving ahead to the last step, you got to buy a drum module to tie everything together. Because when you hit a drum, you kind of want it to make a sound. There's a couple of different ones I would choose between. There are of course hundreds of different options, or I don't know how many drum modules have been created, but there are a lot of them. Here's a couple that I would look at though personally. The first is the Roland TD9. You can buy them for around $380 right now. All these modules have a wire harness, also called a cable snake, so you don't have to buy cables separately off of Amazon. So this one is $380. The second module I would look at is the TD15. They're usually around like $350, somewhere around the same price as the TD9, but I found one for like $280 just listed on eBay, so you can find them for really low prices as well. And then a third drum module, if you want better sounds, sample import, sound layering, and Bluetooth, is the TD17. It's much more expensive at $600 brand new, but it is an option. Now, between those three, I would actually go more towards the TD15 if you found one for a really good deal like that. But again, there's a ton of different modules out there you could choose between. Now, here's something really interesting I noticed when I was doing the research for this video. Looking back at the video, you can remember that I've given you like 2 options or so for every single step in making one of these drum sets. Option A and option B. Sometimes there was a third one, but ignore that for a second. When I finished, building out all the different things that you could buy to build these drum sets, I took out a calculator and I just added up all the option A options and all the option Bs. And I realized all the option A's would give me a drum set under $1,000. All the option B's would cost over like $1,700. That right there is the really tricky thing about building a conversion drum set. When you're buying a drum trigger here and a mesh head there and a cymbal over there, sometimes you can buy the more expensive option and you don't realize, oh, this $50 extra, that $200 extra, that $100 extra will equal something that is twice as expensive as I was initially going to buy in the first place. So just make sure you sort of add everything up before you press buy on all these different websites you're going to have to go around. Just for the sake of the video, we're trying to do something for under $1,000. There's plenty of ways to spend $5 grand and creep up even beyond that if you really want to. This is just a way for you to know what you're getting into if you want to build out a conversion drum set, or if, hey, you're just bored and you felt like watching a video, that's cool too. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching, and especially thank you to the people on Patreon who help make these videos possible.